blessed to be a part of a lot of really cool things that we've done across the country in terms of Keller Williams training, and had an opportunity to be on calls with some of the Atlanta brokers across all industry, all companies rather. And I've shared an 8-point plan that my team, as well as the brokerages, the Georgia Legacy Group, have been using to kind of keep us focused. Staying at home, we have a few distractions. You might have some kids running around, some dogs running around, and we kind of have to create a plan, right? So I thought I would share with you guys, at the request of a few people, what the plan is. What are we doing right now? And it's an 8-point plan. I generally don't like more than 3 to 5 points in a plan. However, I think all of these are relevant to what we're going through right now. So here it is. And by the way, this is my plan. You should create your own plan. This is what's working for me right now. First thing is, we've got to master virtual presentations. Chances are you probably have done this in the past before this coronavirus mess, and you did it out of necessity, right? You did it because you had a out-of-state seller or buyer, and you either had to record a video for them because they weren't there, or you had to connect with them because you couldn't get in front of them face-to-face. So we really have to take whatever it is that we've been using from a presentation, and we've got to convert that, right? We've got to make sure that we not only tell them about the process, but also share with them how the process has changed. What are we doing that's different? And most importantly, how do we make people comfortable in times such as this? So I would encourage you to use a Zoom or some other kind of recording to make sure that you're getting that presentation down, and most importantly, that you're studying it and that you're making improvements. I would suggest sending it to some of your colleagues or friends and have them poke holes in it. What they like, what they didn't like. I would much prefer somebody that I know and like and trust to tell me that it really stinks when it does, rather than practicing on prospects. So when we're training agents, a lot of times we suggest, whether they make a presentation to an actual client or not, every day you need to be practicing that presentation. And so that's what I would tell you to do on the virtual side right now. Practice it every single day. It's probably the most important thing that you can do right now. The second thing is moving up business. So moving up business, it simply means making sure that you're looking at your pipeline of clients. And let's say you've got a seller that suggested that they want to sell at some point this year. Now would be a great time to sell. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We just know what today looks like. For instance, at the Peters Company, we bound 34 transactions in 31 days. And that's a great month, I should say. I want to say good, but no, that's a great month, any month of the year, regardless of coronavirus or not. And we just need to make sure that our clients understand that business is still happening. We're finding solutions for them. And if you want to get the best, value for your home on the market, now's the time, right? Again, we don't know what tomorrow brings. We can only read the tea leaves of what's going on today. For buyers, one of the things that we want to watch out for is tightening lending requirements. We're seeing some of the riskier loans go away. The non-qualified mortgage market dried up and went away a week or so ago. That just shows you, I think that's kind of an early forecasting for what's coming. Anything that's considered risky in the mortgage market is really either going to be taken out or it's going to be charged for, right? So if you've got fringy people, and what I mean by that would be maybe they have a lower credit score at the moment, or maybe they don't have a ton of cash, they can't put down on the property. If they're, really serious about buying a home, they need to get on it right now, right? The third thing is reducing listing prices. So what we know is we've listed 13 properties in the last 2 weeks or so, and out of those 13 properties, 12 are already under contract. Let me say that again. 12 out of 13 listings in the last couple of weeks that we have listed are under contract. And while that doesn't bode well for the one person that didn't go under contract, it tells you something, doesn't it? It tells you that there is still demand, and when a property is priced correctly, it'll move. So if you've got properties that are sitting out there on the listing side, perhaps they're getting a little hair on it, like my quarantine beard, you really need to have a conversation with that seller and just be real with them, right? And now is the time for them to sell their property. If they wait, we're not assured of getting any more for the property. In fact, intelligence would say that they're going to get less. So let's go ahead and get real. The fourth thing is bulletproofing transaction. Bulletproofing a transaction simply means that you're letting people know, hey, you made a great decision, and here's why. What I'm afraid of is that you'd have a seller, perhaps, a good example of this would be a seller that had their property under contract and then has anxiety about where they're going to go. If you have sellers that need to find a home, you need to prioritize that, right? What you don't want is for people to become anxious and then they start making irrational decisions. On a seller side, that may look like, you get a couple $1,000s worth of repair requests and you're like, oh no, I'm not going to do that because I don't know where I'm going to go. And something like that is really all the buyer would need to pull themselves out of a transaction. And so I think you just have to be really careful. On the buy side, much as we mentioned before, realize that the lending environment is tightening up if they are getting a loan, and that could impact their ability to buy in the future. Also, we see inventory potentially decreasing, which is a problem for buyers because we already had a limited supply of inventory. So now if less people than normal are listing properties, especially at this time of the year, and perhaps they need to move on a certain time frame, they really need to consider making this deal work if they love the house, right? Number 5 is the shift book. We've got to make sure that we are bringing this book back out. I know it's 10 years old. The great news is nothing's changed. The 12 tactics in that book are applicable, I would argue, in any market, and they're especially important in this market. The shift book helped me get through a very, very difficult time in the real estate market back in 2008 to 2012. And while we don't anticipate anything to that degree, by implementing those tactics, you're going to be far ahead of your competition once we come out of this. The sixth thing is having some sort of standardized training on a daily basis. It's important for you to stay engaged and keep learning, keep moving forward. At the Georgia Legacy Group, we have an 11 a.m. call every single day that one of our team leaders or directors leads. And the purpose of these calls is to share the successes, to share the struggles, and to find solutions to help us get through these times. Now, you may not have an 11 o'clock call, and that's okay, but you might need to look into what's your podcast? What are you learning right now? What skill are you developing right now? And what are you doing on a daily basis to make sure that you're doing that, right? To provide some accountability around it. Our training schedule provides us with a base camp where all of us can come together and quite honestly have some solidarity around what's going on right now. And I think that's important for you in your day-to-day. The seventh thing is the stimulus package. And the federal government, I will say, has stepped up quite a bit. And this is not a political comment because I think there's wrongs and rights on both sides. However, if there's opportunities for you to take advantage of the stimulus package, I think you should consider it. I would start with a conversation with your CPA, your financial advisor, and your banker. Understand what all is available, understand the inner workings of it. I'm not seeing a ton of downsides right now. I spent an hour on the phone with my CPA today, and I've watched 2 seminars from attorneys as well as financial planners on their stance on the stimulus package. There's 2 things in particular that are popping up that I think we should talk about. The first one is, it's been around for a couple of weeks. It's called the EIDL. This is that $10,000 grant that keeps floating around. The $10,000 grant, it's nice. I mean, $10,000, I think a lot of people are grabbing this right now. And if it works for you, that's fantastic. But the one that I really want to pay attention to, especially for those that have payroll, a small or large team, is what we call the PPP. And the PPP is an SBA loan that will be facilitated by any banker locally that underwrites SBA loans. And what these allow you to do is to take your payroll expenses and multiply it by 2.5 times or 2.5 months. And what's fascinating about this is that you're able to kind of undergird your recurring expenses, and these are forgivable. They're forgivable positions within these loans that will allow you, when you prove it, right, when you prove what your expenses are, that you'll be able to wipe this debt free. And it's phenomenal. And there's some real adult money that could be available to you. That is the SBA loan that I am personally looking at for my businesses right now. And the advice that I've received from our bankers is to get in the queue for this. These benefits will be made available on Friday. So you want to talk to your banker about what that looks like and how do you take advantage of it and which product makes the most sense for you. The eighth one and the last point of this plan is all around expenses. Expenses are on a complete freeze. In fact, we've been in expense cutting mode for the last year. The Peters Company this time last year had nearly $110,000 in monthly recurring expenses. We've slowly but surely, again, over the last 12 months, we've whittled that away to around $60,000 a month. And what I've learned from that is there's so many things that we say, oh, I can never do without that, and yet we can. There's so many things that we do that we could perhaps have the same impact and spend a lot less. So really analyzing and replaying the call on everything that we do to make sure that we have a return on investment on our expenses. And these should be done in any market. What happens whenever things are really good? You just start getting bloated, right? Expenses grow. That expense creep just keeps on creeping. And we need to get out of that. So in the month of April, part of this plan is to reduce our expenses by 20%. Now, I'm not so concerned with what week we do what, if it's 8% this week and 2% that week. I just want at the end of April for us to be able to say we did it. We reduced the expenses by another 20%. I think following this 8-point plan, looking at it every day, analyzing the activity that you're doing, does it reflect these 8 priorities, is important for you to stay on track and make sure that your business moves forward. I think every business needs 3 things right now. They need to focus on a plan, and I just shared with you mine. They need to increase communication. And increased communication for most people means talking to their people and their database. It needs to be reassuring them that transactions are still happening and that you have solutions to help them. It also means over-communicating with your team. It means over-communicating with your leadership if you have even a larger team. And the third thing that you need to do, I believe right now, is you need to share wins. It'd be real easy to sit in your house and watch the news all day and just get junk in your head. And you need to be real careful with that. You need to guard what goes in your head. And you need to surround yourself with successful people, and you need to surround yourself with people that help you think positively and help you think about solutions. So be very careful. Make sure you're around people that are sharing wins. And if you're around people that aren't having wins, get around a new set of people. That's it. I just wanted to share that with you guys so that you kind of had an insight into what I'm thinking and what's going on. And I hope it helps. My email address is on the screen. If I can be of any assistance to anybody, just know it'd be my pleasure and honor. And we're going to get through this together. We will get through this together, and it's going to be a lot better on the other side. Y'all take care.